You made the spreadsheet, you set the categories, you promised yourself this month would be different. By day 12, the spreadsheet sits untouched. The promise quietly breaks. You tell yourself it's a discipline problem. It isn't. The real reason has almost nothing to do with willpower. Budgets fail because of something psychologists call present bias. Your brain consistently overvalues immediate rewards and undervalues future consequences, even when you know better in the moment you're deciding. Economist Richard Thaler spent decades studying this exact gap between what people plan and what people actually do. He found that humans aren't the perfectly rational decision makers classical economics assumed. We're driven by short term impulses fighting against long term intentions, and in that fight, the present almost always wins. Here's what that looks like in real life. You sit down on a Sunday, calm and rested, and build a budget that feels completely reasonable. Future you, the one making the plan, is logical and patient, but future you never actually spends the money. Present you does, and present you is tired, stressed, or standing in front of something you want right now with none of Sunday's clarity. This is why budgets built entirely on restriction tend to collapse. Telling yourself no eating out this month sounds responsible from a distance. But the version of you facing a long day, exhausted, scrolling through delivery apps at 9 at night, isn't thinking about a spreadsheet. They're thinking about right now. Behavioral economist Dan Ariely has shown something else important. People don't actually dislike budgets because they hate structure. They dislike the feeling of being controlled by a rule that ignores how they actually feel in the moment. A budget that's purely restrictive eventually feels like a punishment, and most people eventually stop following punishments. There's also a hidden flaw in how most budgets get built. They're often based on what you should spend, not what you actually spend. So the moment real life interrupts, an unexpected bill, a friend's birthday, a bad week, the entire structure feels broken. And once it feels broken, it's far easier to abandon it completely. Researchers call this the what the hell effect. One slip feels like total failure, so the budget gets tossed aside rather than adjusted. It's the same pattern seen in dieting, where one missed day off, a plan turns into an entire week of giving up. The budgets that actually survive contact with real life tend to share one trait. They build in slack on purpose, a small flexible spending category that absorbs unpredictability without breaking the whole system. Not because flexibility is weaker, because rigid systems break the moment life doesn't follow the plan exactly. Some people have also found success simply automating the decision before present. You ever gets a vote? Automatic transfers into savings the day a paycheck lands remove the moment of willpower entirely. The fight between today and tomorrow never even happens because tomorrow already won, quietly, before you noticed. There's a reason this works so well. Every time you make a spending decision manually, you're asking your tired, present-focused brain to override its strongest instinct. Automation removes that decision from the equation completely. Instead of relying on willpower at the exact moment willpower is weakest, the system makes the responsible choice before temptation ever shows up. The same idea explains why visible savings goals tend to work better than abstract ones. A vague goal like save more gives present you nothing concrete to resist for. But a specific goal, a vacation, an emergency fund, a number with a deadline attached, gives future rewards a shape that present you can actually picture. The brain responds more strongly to vivid, specific outcomes than to distant, fuzzy ones. It also explains why so many people do better with weekly check-ins instead of strict daily tracking. Daily tracking demands constant willpower, the very resource that runs out fastest. Weekly check-ins create just enough distance to catch a slipping pattern before it spirals, without requiring the kind of moment-to-moment resistance most people simply can't sustain for long. None of this means structure is useless. It means the structure has to account for who's actually going to be living inside it. Not a calm, rational planner, but a real person juggling stress, fatigue, and 100 small decisions every single day. So if your budget keeps collapsing, it's not because you lack discipline, it's because you built a plan for a calm, rational version of yourself while ignoring the tired, distracted version who actually swipes the card. You made the spreadsheet, you set the categories, but the version of you holding the wallet was never invited to the meeting.